Assalamualaikum and good day to all of the viewers. In this session, we're gonna see the basic introduction to Autodesk Revit, specifically on the interface of Autodesk Revit, which is what you can see on the screen of your computer or on your machine in the first part of this session, and follows by we're gonna go through step by step, procedure to procedure on how we're gonna setting up a project in Autodesk Revit. So we're gonna go to the first part, which is on the interface of Autodesk Revit. So as you can see on your screen, so this is the most basic or common interface in Autodesk Revit by using architecture setup, which is the setup that you're gonna use a lot in the future in a way to build or in a way to create your architectural drawings. So as you can see here, this is a bit clustered of the tools and command in the interface of the Autodesk Revit. So, but the most biggest portion or the most major part is the area for the drawings. So we're gonna go through one by one. So as you can see, the first part, the most common basic tools, I believe that this is the tools that we easily found in any other software, which is the file tab. So this is the tools that, or the tab that gonna help us to creating the new project, or save our project, or even open our project. So the function is a bit similar to any other software, which is the most basic tab or basic tools. Also, by using this file tab, we might use that to exporting our drawing into any dedicated format according to our preference and needs. And then follows by the quick access toolbar. As you can see here, this is the set of the default tools that clustered under this particular quick access toolbar. So this is the most basic common tools that we might use in future. So for example, as you can see there, so there is the tools to do the dimension, to creating the text or annotation in our drawing. So, but for this particular quick access toolbar, so we are able to change or to either adding or removing the necessary tools that according to our own preference. So for example, if you are using that particular tools frequent, so we might use that in this particular quick access toolbar. So follows by this is what we can call as a ribbon display. So this is the most common tools, or I can say that the fundamental and also the important tools, which is for us or for the creator to do or to start off their drawing or project. So as you can see here, so yes, I cannot go to these particular tools one by one, so because we have to explore that one by one in a way to get the familiarity on how we're gonna operating that particular tools. Okay, so this is, as I mentioned earlier, so this is the drawing area. So we also call that as a sheets or schedule. So depends on how we're gonna name it. So in this particular area, so it also depends on us which part of the drawing that we're gonna view. Whether we're gonna view that in the 3D form, or we're gonna view that in the floor plan form, or we're gonna view that in the elevation form. So again, it's based on our needs. So for example, if you are designing the space, so definitely you're gonna use the floor plan. So we're gonna go that detail later, so on how we're gonna navigate in the views. So and then this is what we can call as a view tab. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, so contrary to the SketchUp, for example, as a 3D drawing, or contrary to the AutoCAD as a 2D software in to generating the drawings. So in Autodesk Revit, so we can navigate from views to another views by using the views tab. So for example, in this particular, as you can see in the screen, so the level 1 is for the floor plan. So it's will be becoming the one tab. So if you want to view the 3D, so you have to move to another tab, which is the 3D tab. So we're gonna go to that later on. So this is what we can call as a types selector. So this is to identify the currently selected family type and provides a drop down from which you can select a different type. So for example, if you using the wall tools, so before you draw the wall into your drawing area, so you are able to choose what kind of the wall that you're going to use onto your project. Okay, and then this is the properties palette. So this is the dialog where you can view and modify the parameters that define the properties of the elements. So the first part, you select what kind of the wall or what kind of the element that you're going to use in your project, and then follows you can set the parameter. So for example, for this particular the wall type A wall, so you want to set the level. For example, you want to set the certain parameters according to your design. So you might to change that in the properties. And then the next one is the project browsers. So in this particular browsers, the project browser, it shows the logical hierarchy for all of the related views in your project. So as you can see here, it does have the start from the floor plan, and then the 3D views, and the sort of the elevations, and even the section. So and then you can expand and collapse these drawings. As you can see, they are the sign for the minus over there. So and then yes, from this project browser also, you can develop the tab onto your viewing tab. For example, if you want to commonly or oftenly viewing your 3D, so you might put the 3D tab onto your viewing tab side by side to your elevation drawing, for example. So again, it depends on your own preference and depends on your how you're gonna navigating the workflow of your project. So and then this is the most common, not to say the most common tab, but this is the tabs or that gonna give us the ideas on the status of our drawing and so on. So for example, the first one is this is the status bar. So which is this is the bar that provide the tips or hints on what to do when we highlight or selecting one element or the component in our project. So and then follows by the view control bar. So this is the view control bar that give the quick access to function that affect the current views. So this is more toward when we move to the 3D and so on later on. And then on the top right, this is the info center. So this center gonna provide us tools that enable us to access many product related to our project. So and then the bottom right is this is the selecting element. So the control tools that help you to modify the element in the drawing area, which only available when we are selecting those particular drawings. So this is basically how it is the interface of Autodesk Revit. So starting by the most common part, which is by using the file type to generating or to opening up the project, followed by the quick access tool that I mentioned earlier. So up to the status bar or the view control bar that might assisting us in future to navigating the Autodesk Revit. So again, so as I mentioned earlier, so we cannot go part by part or one by one or tools by tools. So which is there's quite a lot of the tools, and there are some of the tools that might not been used by us. So the key is for us to do the self exploration. So is that particular tools is gonna be benefited us in a way in our workflow or not? So because the way to doing that, so the key is the exploration, because my workflow could be not similar with your workflow. So when we do our self exploration, so we might identify the easiest way to creating the certain elements, for example. Okay, so we're gonna go to the second part, which is we're gonna go to navigating the Autodesk Revit as it is, which is we're gonna start by setting up project, and toward the end of the session, so I'm gonna show you how to setting up the grid, which you have to do that along the way that you are watching the video. As you can see on your screen, so this is basically the interface of Autodesk Revit once you're opening up those software. So in this session, I'm gonna demonstrate to you how to setting up or creating a project. Okay, so the first step is to starting by under the models. So we're gonna start by clicking new. So and then the new window will be popping up on your screen. So you have to choose the specific template. So for example, we're gonna use the metric system. So which is this is gonna be the standard unit for the dimension purpose. And then we're gonna use the architectural template. And then so after that, you just clicking OK. So once you click OK, so it's gonna navigate you to this interface. So as you can see here, the same interface that I showed to you earlier. So which is this is the file tab, this is the ribbon, and then this is the quick access toolbar, and then this is the properties palette, and this is the how we're gonna select the type of the component that we are using, and then this is the project browser according to the views, floor plan, and shielding plans and everything. Okay, this is the starting off when you opening up your Revit or starting off your project. So the most important aspect is after you creating the project, definitely you have to save your project. So how I'm gonna do that? I'm gonna save as, and then you have to choose save that as a Revit project file, and then after that, so you can use whatever files or name that in regards to your project. So for example, I just use the project one, and I just click save. So by that, so this is we are creating the project, or the most first step in the way for us to produce the drawings. Okay, so in this session also, so I will teach you on how we gonna setting up the levels, and how we gonna setting up the grids by the end of the session. So because within your own computer, so you have to creating or start to draw the grids for your project as part of the exercise in the session. Okay, so as you can see here, so under the project browser, so you can go to this particular elevation, and then you can click south. So once you click the south, So you can see that the south tab already been appeared in the views tab. Okay, so after that what you have to do that is you have to rename it. So for example, as you can see here, this is the level 1, and then this is the level 2, and then this is the height, which is starting from the 0 and follows by the 4000. Okay, so what we can do that, for example, in this particular part, we can rename it. For example, here I make the rename as a 00 ground floor, and then you just, and then once you're done rename it, and then you just click enter, and then they will ask you whether you want to rename it or not, so just click yes. And then as you can see, the name already changed here in the drawing and also changed here in the project browser, because under the floor plan, so this is the ground floor, and then if you realize previously, this is the level 1 here and here. So after we change that, oh, so it's gonna be, so after we change that, 00 ground floor, oh sorry, so it will be automatically changed in the project browser. Okay, so this is the most basic step to start to creating the grids and so on, and after that you can start to rename another part, which is just rename that as the first floor. Yes, and then you can do that subsequently to, depends on how many floors of your projects are, and then for this you can simply move that the grid according to the height of your project. So for example, if your height from floor to floor is 3 meter or 3000, so you can do that 3000. Okay, that's how we gonna renaming the levels, which is according to the height of the from floor to the floor of our project. Okay, and then we start by using the grid line. So as you know that in a way to do the comprehensive set of construction drawing, so one of the important aspect is the grid line. So from the grid line, so it will be something like the guide for us to do the placement. For example, the placement of the wall, the placement of the beam and column and so on. Okay, so how to start to draw the grid? Okay, so definitely we're gonna start in the lowest ground floor plan. So how to do that? You just simply click in this floor plan, you just simply click to the ground floor. So this will be your ground floor plan. So which is, as you can see here, this is nothing here. Okay, and then before we go further, so how to navigate the things in your Revit? So by using the mouse, for example, so by scrolling up your mouse, so it's gonna assist you to zoom in and zoom out. It's similar to, I believe that is similar to any other 3D software, for example SketchUp, and even in Autodesk AutoCAD. So you are using the scrolling of your mouse to zoom in and zoom out into your drawing. Okay, how to do that? The grid. So the first part is we have to go to the ground floor plan, which is as I mentioned earlier. So you have to go to project browsers, and then you double click on the ground floor. Okay, so how to draw the grid? So under architecture menu here, and then you go to the datum, which is here. The last two tab from the most right of your ribbon area, so which is here, grid. Okay, so once you press the grid tools, so you can see the crosshair here in your screen, in your drawing area. So, and then what you have to do that you have to draw the line from one point to another point. So for example here, so depends, the angle of your grid is depends on your design. If you have the angular wall, for example, so you have to draw the grid according to the angles of your wall. So for example here, I just show the common way of grid, which is horizontal and vertical. So here I use 90 degrees. So as you can see here, I draw that vertical, and then from one point to another. So as you can see, if you want to draw the grid, so you have to draw that you have to drag your mouse from bottom to the top. So by doing that, you will get the labeling of the grid at the top part of your drawing. So if you draw for example from top to the bottom, okay, so the labeling of your grid will be at the bottom parts of your drawing. So but as what we commonly practice, so the label of the grid or the numbers of the grid gonna be placed on top of our drawings and at the top part of your grid. So this one I just delete it first. Okay, so this is for the vertical grid, and then for the horizontal grid, you have to do that from the again go to the datum grids, and then you have to draw that from your right to the left for you to draw the grid to get the level of your grid at the left part of your drawing. And then yes, this is the commonly what we are practicing, which is most of the time the drawing gonna be placed on the left part of the left side of our drawings. So and after that, if you want to do the parallel grid, for example, so once you drag your crosshair here, so you can see the value of the how far the gap in between one grid to another. So for example here is 2400, so I just click that, and then I just click here. So as you can see here, the dimension will be appear once you creating your grids, and then I can do the same here, for example. Okay, and then here also the dimension is also there. So after that, you can modify the grid by moving that into specific area. Okay. And then if you want to name your grids, so you can always do the rename of your grid. For example here 1, and then this one is 2, and then this one is A, for example, and then this one is B, for example. Okay, and then right after that, you can always put up the dimension in between the grid. For example here to here, and then 2100, and then from here to here 2400, and then you can repeat the same process according on how many grids land that you are using in your project, and according to what is the gap in between the grids. So but as I mentioned earlier, for your exercise, by using back the document that you collect from the architectural firm, so using the information, so in this particular exercise you have to draw the grid based on that particular document. Okay, so I guess that's all for this session. So just to recap back, how to creating up the project. So once you're opening up the Autodesk Revit, so just click the new project and then you choose by using the metric architectural template. And then in the way to the first part, you have to do that. You have to get your familiar in the how to navigate the views by using the project browsers and by using the views. And then we have learned on how we're gonna setting up the levels by using the project browser in the subs views, and then it will be automatically reflected to another views. And then we have learned on how to setting up the grid line in the lowest ground floor plan in our project, which is the ground floor. And then we have learned on how to setting up the dimension and how to rename the label of the grid. So as the exercise, so by using the document or the data that you collected from the architectural firm, so you have to draw the grid and we have to submit that as a part of the exercise in this particular session. Okay, I guess that's all for this session, and thank you.